Well, I want to thank you all very much. This is great. These are our friends. We have thousands of friends on this incredible movement. This was a movement like nobody's ever seen before. And frankly, this was, I believe, the greatest political movement of all time. There's never been anything like this in this country, and maybe beyond. And now it's going to reach a new level of importance because we're going to help our country heal. We're going to help our country heal. We have a country that needs help, and it needs help very badly. We're going to fix our borders. We're going to fix everything about our country. And we made history for a reason tonight, and the reason is going to be just that. We overcame obstacles that nobody thought possible, and it is now clear that we've achieved the most incredible political thing. Look what happened. Is this crazy? Say a couple of words here.
Well, Mr. President, I appreciate you allowing me to join you on this incredible journey. I thank you for the trust that you placed in me. And I think that we just witnessed the greatest political comeback in the history of the United States of America. And under President Trump's leadership, we're never going to stop fighting for you, for your dreams, for the future of your children. And after the greatest political comeback in American history, we're going to lead the greatest economic comeback in American history under Donald Trump's leadership.
Nobody deserves this more than him, and nobody deserves this more than his family does. This is what happens when the machine comes after you. What you've seen over the last several years, this is what it looks like. Couldn't stop him. He keeps going forward. He doesn't quit. He's the most resilient, hard-working man I've ever met in my life. His family are incredible people. This is karma, ladies and gentlemen. He deserves this. They deserve it as a family. I want to thank some people real quick. I want to thank the Nelk Boys, Aiden Ross, Theo Vaughn, busting with the boys, and last but not least, the mighty and powerful Joe Rogan. And thank you, America. Thank you. Have a good night.
God bless you, and God bless America. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You know, depending on a person's point of view, either you're doing the hula this morning or you're in a state of disbelief. Where do you stand when you heard the news yesterday? What were your thoughts?
I believe this was going to be the outcome. And this is the part...
Why did you believe that?
Because I thought it all came down to Pennsylvania. I thought it's more about the policy of economics. I thought Kamala Harris picked the wrong VP candidate.
Who should she have picked?
Had she picked Shapiro, I think it would have been a tighter race. But the other thing people should look at, if you had looked at the generic ballot, 4 years ago it was +6 for the Democrats, it was 0.4 for Republicans. If you looked at the Gallup poll that they take all the time, they don't ask who you'll support, they ask what party do you identify with. For the first time in history, Republicans won that, 48 to 45. So you had an environment that was more positive towards Republicans. But if you looked at the polling, like through the House, they were underperforming Trump. And the top issues were the economy, the border, foreign policy, and abortion. Mm-hmm. So 3 of the 4, one was talking about more.
But let's talk about Donald. Clearly, the border was a big, big issue. Really want to talk to you about that and the economy. But I think many people are fascinated by Donald Trump, the man. The last 2 weeks of the campaign, people said were very dark. You had former Republican officials and chief of staffs and people who used to work with him that said, look, this man is not fit to be in office.
Calling him unhinged.
Calling him unhinged, all sorts of, name calling on both sides. How is it that voters are able to overlook that and put Donald Trump back in office?
Donald Trump is a different candidate than anyone. We had known Donald Trump before he ever ran. Television, so we all had our own personal experience.
From The Apprentice, you mean?
From The Apprentice. But we have known what he would do as president. So it wasn't like he wasn't president before. So people made a decision more with their pocketbooks than the personalities. And there's a reason why people went dark against him. Kamala wasn't pulling her base. So it was also driven not to attack him, but try to motivate the base. The unfortunate part in the last two presidentials, not this one, people went to vote who they were against, not who they're for. The part I was most excited about, whoever was to win, I wanted him to win the popular vote and the Electoral College. Because we've got to put this to rest and we've got to be able to govern. That's what I think the country on both sides want to see.
Mr. Speaker, let me ask you about your personal relationship with the now president-elect. This is a two-part question. Do you take credit for sort of restoring Donald Trump's political fortunes after January 6th? We all remember that. You flew down to Mar-a-Lago. You took that picture with him. A lot of people said after January 6th that his political career was over. A lot of people felt after that moment that his political fortunes were restored. And do you want a role in this next administration?
I don't want a role in the administration.
Even if he's asked you?
Even if he asked me. I think I'm better to serve him from the outside. Look, I talked to him last night. I talked to him 2 times the day before. I want to help the country successful, and I'll help anybody like that. Look, I don't think I'm that powerful that I brought somebody back. Maybe if I get some credit, I really believe the Democrats persecuting him, taking him to court. You can see it in the polling. You can see it. They elevated him to an opportunity that you heard from people. It became personal to them. I watched people who would not support President Trump sign up the next day and write a check. You said, if this can happen here, it could happen to me. And that was a miscalculation on the Democrats' part.
Well, there's some people waking up and they're celebrating. Others, they are upset. Do you believe that the now 47th president can unite this country? Because we are still very divided. We are bonded by him being our 47th president, but we are still very much divided. Does he have the capabilities? Because if we look at his campaign, decorum wouldn't be one way we describe it. So if somebody is trying to spin it forward, will the next 4 years look like how he ran for president?
Okay, to be fair, because I have served, I've had the privilege of serving up. I'll tell you, decorum on both sides is not that nice. I'm the first speaker.
I hear what you're saying, but you can't make an even comparison.
I think he knows the job. He doesn't have to get reelected. So you might see a much different Trump. I would tell Democrats, he is not such a hardened person philosophically in a hard right position. He has positions that are unique that would go to the middle. I've watched in meetings, though, people get a Trump syndrome where they just don't even want to work with him. And he'll get his back up, and then if you fight him, he'll fight you. But I think if you go to him, he's probably more willing to go to some certain positions. So it's going to be a willingness of both.
Mr. Speaker, what people who have worked with him say, they said it's almost dangerous to have him in office because we know he's not coming back with no guardrails. You don't think we need to worry about that?
No. Remember, we're America.
All right.
We don't have dictators. I don't care if they want to be, they can't be. We have different branches of government. So we have a check and balance system. What I firmly believe, look, people win and people lose in this process. I understand. I've been on the other end.
And we have to accept it.
Yeah. But if I was the Democrats, I would take this opportunity to rebuild their party.
All right.
And you know what?
How do you do that?
It's just like you're rebuilding a team. Well, the first thing I would do, I would look, why did you lose? And I'd be very honest. I'd stop playing race politics. I'd tell you, it doesn't matter the color of your skin. People care about whether your streets are safe. They care about whether you're economical. And in both parties, we no longer have a two-party system. We have 2 or 3 parties in each party. And the extremes we're allowing to be the most vocal in them, and we know that turns people off.
What we know is this. It's a wake-up call for many people, lessons to be learned. But you were known as my Kevin, is what he used to call you, a term of endearment. What did you guys talk about last night?
Well, it was when the race was first going. He was asking me, where did I see it? And I will tell you, I thought he had secured it when I looked at the Georgia numbers and he was getting 25% of the black male. I said, you were going to win this. Then it went to Philly. Last time he got 18% in Philly and he was getting 20.
Yeah.
So the real question will be, was it smart to take Biden off the ticket? He would have done better in Pennsylvania. I don't think he would have won, but you changed democracy in a manner that you didn't give people a voice. Because I don't believe the Democrats would have picked Kamala. They probably would have had a stronger candidate.
Vlad asked you about a role. You want to go? Go ahead.
Well, no, yeah, go ahead, Dave.
I want to ask about Elon Musk and RFK. Do you believe that they should play a role in his cabinet?
I think a lot of people should play. Look.
No, he asked you those two names.
Yes.
Those two.
Not a lot of people.
Those
I don't
specifically.
Yes. Look, I would put Elon.
They have played a significant role in his run.
Elon has played a significant role in North Carolina with that hurricane. He played a significant role for our competition.
I'm talking about in his cabinet.
Yes, but he won't. Elon can't go into his cabinet because he still has to work. He still has to run his other companies. What I believe we should take, not just Elon, but everybody else that has good ideas. How do we make government more efficient and more accountable? That's not a Republican or Democrat issue.
I hear you on that.
We build that. And you know what? You should be a part of it. You don't have to be inside. Like, you ask me if I'm going to serve. I'm going to serve in a lot of manners, but I'm not going to go take a paycheck from government. But I'm going to use all my ability and knowledge to make this country better. And I will volunteer that time to do it.
Okay.
Kevin McCarthy, we appreciate you joining us and stopping by.
You seem happy, Kevin McCarthy.
I'm very happy.
All right.
Well, good morning, everyone. This is certainly a happy day for the GOP. And let me start by congratulating President Trump. What he's accomplished has not been done, as all of you know, since Grover Cleveland, which was a while back. I also want to commend the Trump campaign for running a sharper operation this time, and I think Chris LaCivita and Susie Wiles deserve a lot of credit. They ran a spectacular race. With regard to the Senate, you guys know how long I've been around. I had really hoped I'd be able to hand over to my successor the majority. I've been the majority leader. I've been the minority leader. The majority is a lot better. And I think, based on the fact that we haven't got all the results in, we certainly already know we're going to be in the majority. We're hopeful that that might actually grow some. And I want to give particular credit to Steve Daines. I had that job at the NRSC a few years back. I've never seen a better performance. He focused on getting quality candidates, making sure they actually got the nomination. And as I said, to some criticism, candidate quality is absolutely essential. I also am proud of the job the Senate Leadership Fund and its related groups did. Overall, they were able to raise $425 million, and they made decisions to invest in, I think, all the right places. I'll just run it down for you. They spent $29 million in Maryland, $42 million in Michigan, $60 million in Montana, $3.3 million in Nebraska, $12.8 million in Nevada, $133 million in Ohio, $82.7 million in Pennsylvania, $30 million in Wisconsin, and $3 million in West Virginia. So clearly what they were doing over there is focusing on the places where we had the best chance to win, and I think the results pretty much prove they made a lot of wise decisions. I'm really glad you raised that. I should have covered that before. I think one of the most gratifying results of the Senate becoming Republican, the filibuster will stand. There won't be any new states admitted that give a partisan advantage to the other side. and we'll quit beating up the Supreme Court every time we don't like a decision they make. So I think this shifting to a Republican Senate majority helps control the guardrails to keep people who want to change the rules in order to achieve something they think is worthwhile is not successful. And so I think the filibuster is very secure. Well, we hear optimistic reports of what may have happened in the House, and obviously if you were going to legitimately work around the filibuster, it would be through reconciliation. And so I think we'd be obviously more successful if we flipped the House. And Speaker, I think, put out a statement saying he's optimistic. I hope that's the case. What can I take from last night?
What should your colleagues take from last night when they choose the next leader?
Candidate quality is essential. Absolutely essential. And I think we had the best candidates everywhere yesterday. Well, you're a bit of a student of history, Burgess. Since senators became popularly elected in 1914, my party's never had more than 55. Democrats had massive majorities during the 30s, during LBJ, during Barack Obama. So obviously the higher we get, the better. But this is not 60 votes, which is what they had at the beginning of President Obama. So I think we did pretty well with narrow majorities during the previous administration. 3 new Supreme Court justices, 54 new circuit judges, comprehensive 30-year overdue tax reform. Yeah, I mean, it's harder, but I think we were successful before with a narrow majority, and I think we will be again. Well, if you're looking for a simple answer, I think it was a referendum on the current administration, in part. People were just not happy with this administration, and the Democratic nominee obviously was a part of it. You know, I had a lot of dealings with him during the previous administration. I think we did a lot for the American people. Good luck to you all. I enjoyed talking to you, and it was a hell of a good day.
You know, first you celebrate and then you start making lists. That's the way power works in Washington, D.C. What's at the top of the list for the Trump administration and the Congress that he will have at least partial control of? What do you want to get done right away?
Well, listen, President Trump said it last night in his acceptance speech of victory last night. Promises made, promises kept. We are going to secure our southern border. We are going to make sure that tax policy continues from what he started in his first administration, and that we expand on that to the betterment of the American people who are really struggling in this economy. And it's about rebuilding this economy overall. That's going to be the mission going forward.
Would you advise Jack Smith, the prosecutor bringing some of the felony convictions, or charges rather, against Donald Trump, to begin polishing his resume?
I mean, I would. Who wouldn't? Obviously, this tactic of trying to criminalize Donald Trump did not work, because there is a new realignment in our country behind Donald Trump. Black voters, Latino voters, young voters, independent voters, working class men and women in this country who are sick and tired of being left behind. They want a leader who is going to be focused on them, and they wanted Donald Trump. So I would advise Jack Smith and everybody else, enough is enough. You lost. Let Donald Trump govern this country. It is time for America to unite.
I lost a little bit of the end of your answer there, but I think I got the gist of it. I want to return to the question of all the things that Donald Trump says, of all the promises and the pledges, what will be a priority on the first day? You mentioned securing the southern border. When it comes to Kamala Harris voters, they're feeling scared today. One of the worries is that this mass deportation program which could be one of the uglier chapters, more difficult projects in American history. Is that going to be a day one enterprise?
We do have to get started. And like President Trump said throughout this entire campaign, criminal illegal aliens, they have to be deported immediately. And that's going to be the primary focus. The other part is turning off the spigots created by the previous administration, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, of opening our southern border. And if you look at polling, deportations are supported by the majority of Americans because we have seen what's happened in our urban areas. So we're going to do that job of making the country secure once again. That's Donald Trump's promise, and he's going to keep it.
Clearly, you have the majority of voters on your side when it comes to some of these tougher policy choices, but you also have people worried, words like strongman being applied to the now president-elect again, people saying that he will break the system, he will work outside the bounds of the law. What do you say to those Americans who this morning need to be brought into the camp of feeling like this is going to be a good thing for the future of America?
I would tell those Americans who are concerned to don't listen to the gaslighting coming from the political left in our country. Donald Trump is going to follow the law. He's going to follow the Constitution. He's going to strengthen our institutions. He's going to strengthen our country. That is his commitment to the United States of America, and he will keep it.
The senior advisor to President-elect Trump, that is Jason Miller. Jason, good to see you again. I think when we last spoke, it was at the RNC, and at that time, there was an air of inevitability around Donald Trump just after the assassination attempt. Now that inevitability has become a reality. So let's talk about what this Trump administration is going to look like. What are his priorities going to be on day one? Is it going to be no taxes on tips? Is it going to be mass deportations? Is it going to be rolling back environmental regulations?
Well, Tony, great to be back with you, and I have a very simple message this morning. Hope is back in America. If you supported President Trump in this election, he is going to work to fix the economy and secure the border. If you did not support President Trump in this election, he is going to work to fix the economy and secure the border. He is going to be a president for all Americans, and the great thing is we've seen him do it before. We've seen that economy. We've seen him securing the border. And also the other thing is so many of these policies President Trump can put back in place with executive orders. He doesn't have to wait until months down the road. He can simply flip the switch on day one, secure the border, start the energy exploration again, which will help with reducing inflation, making things more affordable. But the bigger thing is so many Americans up before last night had given up hope that their personal finances were going to get better, that their personal situations would get better. And we saw this coalition that the president put together, earning the votes of 1 out of every 3 voter of color in this country. Tony, that is astounding. It shows that there is a mandate with winning the popular vote on pace for 312 electorals that we can change this country. Every single vote matters. And so I think there's a renewed sense of optimism. There's a sense that we can come together and do this. And we heard from the president last night. He is very focused on making sure that he brings everyone together. We put aside these partisan differences.
Well, Jason, let's linger for a second on the partisan differences because I'm old enough to remember the 2016 victory speech, the reach across the aisle, the ask for guidance for an effort to unify the country, bind the wounds of division. He had similar notes last night. What does that look like, though, in this second Trump administration? How do you heal the wounds of division?
Well, first and foremost, it's going to be the fact on the economy. It needs to be improved for everybody. So many people, their earning power has been decreased. They don't have the money anymore to be able to buy the simple things they were able to just a few years ago. I mean, Tony, think about the people having to cash out their 401ks just to make ends meet. But as we go into re-up the Trump tax cuts and we put in some of these bold, innovative ideas, such as no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, these are things that will improve people's lives right away. And with the economy improved and with securing the border, so we are able to do something about this out of control migrant crime wave that we've had sweeping the country. Think of the victims such as Laken Riley or Jocelyn Nungary or Rachel Morin, whose memories were a big part of why we worked so hard on this campaign. We can heal this country and bring it together. And as you heard last night, the president said he is going to bring Democrats and independents and everyone together to be a part of that administration.
Yep. You know, Jason, late last night, the younger staffers on the Trump campaign began talking openly about the jobs they want in the new administration. I know you're not going to tell us anything today, but you've been in that orbit from the very beginning. When you land somewhere, do let us know, okay?
Will do. Thank you, sir.